Welcome to the Logic Bank's Jump Project Leadership video. In this video, I'm going to talk about what I think how you should conduct yourself as a leader, some of the aims you should have, and some of the red flags you need to watch out for when you are making your project. The first thing I want to talk about is paranoia. You cannot do this on your own. You need friends or you need a group. I always think it's a huge red flag if I see a leader pass R5 to his farm. You should have 5 to 8 people that you trust, that are in your group, that are in your project, that you would make R5 and you would trust them with the alliance. The other big red flag, or the other thing that I need to stress, is I often see R5s destroy themselves with paranoia. You need to avoid reading screenshots. You need to avoid making screenshots. If somebody's sending you a screenshot, try and ignore it, okay? Just say to them, this is what we're trying to do, this is the direction we're going in, and don't get too bogged down in tales about what might happen. 99% of the time it never happens, or people are just letting off steam. The third thing I want to talk about is, it's hard to know this, but the truth is 20% of the people in your alliance will do 80 to 90% of the work. It's just the way it is. I don't know why. It's the same when you go to work. In the real world, 20% of people do most of the work. So, don't let this stress you. People just are going to do what they want. What I would say, though, is to communicate your expectations in the alliance mail, and if people aren't meeting them, or they aren't meeting the power requirements, then need to remove them, you can. I would expect my project leadership to be very capable of violence, but at the same time I'd expect them to not use this capability. I would expect to not see any city hitting at all, unless a person has made horrendous comments in chat or something along those lines. City hitting, in my opinion, is a cancer to a kingdom and needs to be avoided at all costs. I would also say you need to be capable of leaving people behind, which I know is hard, especially if they've joined your project and they're quite active in chat. If you've set the expectation that day one of your project in the new kingdom, that the minimum power is 400k or 500k, and there's somebody that jumped with 80k instead of 300, and first day they're only on 160, then there should be no upset when they leave. As I say, that is how the game works. You set your expectations. The objectives I would expect my leadership to look for would be to capture 2 to 3 zones, then to balance out or to sync the highest power players with the highest power alliance with the highest number of flags built. I would expect that war, if it is to happen, to not be of equal tier, whether it is your tier 4 clearing out some tier 3 alliance, or if you're tier 3 clearing out a mixed tier 2 and tier 3 alliance, that if there is war, that it is an obvious outcome. I would hope that you would try your best to avoid same tier fighting, and obviously if you're in the situation where you are fighting up a tier, that's a huge red flag for me, and perhaps a little delusional about what's going on. I would expect us to get the gold star, and then after about day 10 to 15, I would expect the kingdom to be in peace. For kingdom leadership chat, I think to talk less and just set some objectives early, that perhaps to not make the presumption or put forward the presumption that you are going to be in charge of this kingdom. I would say to have the confidence that you're going to build the best flags and have the largest alliance, and to set out the expectations that the alliance with the most power or the top 4 alliances with the most power will enter the last zone. Who wouldn't be able to agree with that? And that the alliance with the most space, or the most number of available spots, will take the Lost Kingdom. Again, that's reasonable, and have the confidence that that's going to be you. And then, of course, for the capture of the Lost Temple, that spaces are divvied out by power. For example, the top alliance gets 70 spots, the next alliance maybe 40, and then the third alliance maybe 10, or however that breaks down. Again, that's fair. And then, of course, going into the Lost Kingdom, they're the top 3 to 4 alliances, and the strongest going west, the second strongest going east, with the support of the third strongest. A note on recruitment, or internal recruitment within your kingdom. The truth is, the way recruitment really works is not by whispering people, or I think it's very poor if you're whispering people saying, Wales dropping gold chests, come to us. I think it's to keep the recruitment simple. You don't need to whisper people. You should simply have the best advert is having the players with the highest power in your alliance will naturally recruit people. Having the highest alliance gift level will naturally recruit people. When the sanctums appear on the monument, every player in the kingdom will be able to see who is attached for sanctums and who hasn't attached for sanctums. That is another advert and an opportunity for people to move from a failed alliance with 2 sanctums to your alliance with 4 sanctums. Another advert is, of course, the altars, 5 to 6. The passes, pass 1s, I'd expect maybe 2 would be a good advert for your alliance. Pass 2s, you should be at the point now where it's very clear who the top alliance is, but I would expect 4 pass 2s. And then on to the shrines, and really internal recruitment is over by that point. Obviously, initially though, the highest power players will give you the highest alliance power, which intends to result in you becoming the top alliance. A quick note on internal recruitment: occasionally you will have some frustrated high power players who are playing with their friends in some small alliance. What I would tend to do is, during a power push event, send them a message saying, I know you're playing with your friend, that's cool, but if you'd like to come to us for some quick helps and to use the altar buffs, that would be brilliant. The R4s will let you in, just let us know. And you will tend to find, once they've come in, once they get those fast helps just for a few hours, they will tend to stay. Migration recruitment is really a video in itself. What I would say, it's too much of a task for one player to be expected to do all the migration recruitment. You should really split the scouting of kingdoms among different players so they can get a level 8 account, so that they are then able to get to the rankings and view the high power players to start recruiting. Let's now talk a little bit about when things go wrong, or a bit of a reality check. If your kingdom hasn't got the highest power alliance, the highest power players and the flags in sync, then things may be wrong. Well, that's a red flag. If your alliance has the best flags but hasn't got the highest power players or the highest power alliance, then I would say the truth is it's probably over for you. I say you can continue on and become a support alliance, but you will find you will have a power drain. This is incredibly difficult to correct. If you have the worst flags, but you've got the highest power and you've got the highest power players, then I think really quite a simple fix. You need to find someone else to build the flags. So change up your R4 territory. That's an easy fix. Now the worst one is you've got the best flags, the highest power alliance, but you haven't got the highest power players. So the top 10 highest power players, you've only maybe got 3 of them and 7 are elsewhere. This is especially bad if they're all together in another alliance. And I think really you're heading towards civil war. So you either need to resolve this through negotiations or by giving something up. it could be smart to give up your third alliance and strip down to 2 alliances or even 1 alliance. But something's going to have to correct if you've not got the whales and the highest power players together. Now, another major flag of things going wrong is your helps are very slow in your alliance. This is a red flag and it's quite hard to fix. Sometimes I've been in alliances where there are high power players who are only logging in twice a day, and it is a problem because you want the high power players. This is quite difficult to fix. Ultimately, building more flags, adding more spots to the alliance should help this, but it is a sign that the alliance is dying if helps are slow. If you didn't get 4 sanctums, say this to me is a red flag. This is not a big ask of any alliance, and it's possible 12 alliances to get 4 sanctums. If your kingdom, if your alliance resources are a mess, so for example you have plus 25k on, plus 26k on wood and plus 10k on food, you've got an imbalance. This is going to be a real problem later. You need to start addressing this straight away. Like I say, if you need to change your R4 territory, or if you need to certainly start collecting food like mad on your land, you've got to address this problem as soon as you see it. Another red flag is you add an alliance spot. So you've just built another centre fortress, or you've added more flags, or you've done the research, but the R4 recruitment doesn't immediately fill them. You should really have people queuing up to get into your alliance. Something's going wrong if you're not immediately filling these spots. I would always say to keep 1 spot free for farms coming in, farms going out, and should a large player suddenly migrate and arrive, always have 1 spot free. It's fair. But if you've got 2, 3 or 4 spots free, I would say something's going wrong. The first thing I would do is I would get my R4s to fill those spots with farms, so it doesn't look like we've got a recruitment problem. Also fill in the spots with farms. If you're waiting for migrants to come in or waiting for someone to join, fill the spot with a farm so it doesn't look like you're struggling to recruit. But something's going wrong with your R4 recruitment if you are not immediately filling spots as you make them. Now this is a big one. No one is spending. So this is a real problem if nobody is spending in your alliance. One of the first problems might be is you're not spending. So this at its bottom level, this is a pay-to-play game, and I think people need to see if people see other people spending, they will start spending. If one person's dropping gold chests, more people drop gold chests. It's a snowball effect. But if everyone else stops spending, you will find a problem. Professional players or the players you want to attract, they will be used and get used to a game reset. 20 or 30 alliance gifts will appear as people buy the cow chests. This is what players would be used to seeing, and if they're not seeing this, it's a red flag. It's very hard to resolve, but really it depends on your project. It depends if you have spending, you will get the gifts level. The gift level will attract other players that are spending. Spenders will tend to attract each other. It's a hard one to solve, but it's another red flag thing. You've got problems if people aren't spending. The next problem sometimes the alliance runs into is Fort 1s arrive and you smash hundreds of them. Fort 2s arrive and you smash hundreds of them. Fort 3s arrive and suddenly you start to realise that people are using Sun Tzu and Lohar to smash these forts. And suddenly forts start to slow down a bit. A professional or a successful alliance should have tons of Minamotos and expertise Minamotos. And the transition from Fort 2 to Fort 3 should be seamless. An easy thing for a expertise Minamoto to take down. By the time you get to Fort 4s and Fort 5s, if there's something wrong in your alliance and forts start to completely slow down to the point where you've only got 2, 3 or 4 people capable of leading a fort rally, something's gone wrong. It's hard to address. Obviously, you need to attract those Minamoto players, because really, for a free-to-play player, needs to start thinking if they're going to be taking down 4-5s or leading 4s and 5s, they need to start thinking about it about day 20 to get a strong enough commanders ready to do that. But this is another red flag that you need to watch out for. Also, you will find forts can recruit, in that there's an early fort event where being top in that is a signal that you're recruiting and people want to come to you to get those 20 epic heads. It's also important to know that if no forts are running, people will log in, send their gatherers out, or clear their AP on barbarians, send their gatherers out and log off. If forts are running, people will join, send 4 gatherers out, start joining forts and start chatting, and it will bring your alliance to life. One thing you could do to maybe combat that is make an R4 forts to try and generate more fort activity. If your alliance is top power with the top whales, but flags have been a struggle, and sometimes they are, some zones are just very hard to build, and even with the best effort, some zones are hard to build. Be very, very careful when Zone 2 opens that you don't have a sudden migration of players into Zone 2 and massively reduce your flag income. If you're struggling with flag building and alliance resources, then you need to slow down your migration to Zone 2, keep people in Zone 1, collecting resources on your land. The next problem you may have is you didn't get the gold star. The gold star makes migration recruitment a lot easier, as does, of course, a very high gift level. If you've got gift level 13 and the gold star, who's not going to want to come to your alliance? What I would say, though, is it does give you the opportunity, though, that you can attract players over 10 million power to under 25 million power. And even if there's a player over 25 million power, you find an unhappy player over 25 million power, suggest to them to talk to VIP chat that they're not happy in their kingdom and they would like to join friends in your kingdom. You never know, the rules might be able to bend for players that are spending money and have VIP chat. I'm not suggesting that can happen, but certainly there's no harm in asking. On the subject of gold stars, please note that because of the imbalance of how kingdoms are made, it is important to understand that if you look at the last 14 kingdoms that have just got their gold star that are in preparation for KVK1, you will notice that 10 of them, the gold star has gone to the kingdom that is the oldest in the region, which is the bottom right kingdom. It's the oldest in the region and will tend to get the gold star unless there's a clear or a huge jump project has been able to put the power into one of the later kingdoms. So to aim for the newest kingdom in a region will help any project get the gold star, which is, I say, the only solid tip I have for the jump leadership. But I hope, though, listening to this video will still help you think about things of how to structure and build your jump alliance. Thanks for watching.